This is Mike Myers.
You were expecting Prince Charming?
This is also Mike Myers.
Oh, behave.
So, like me, maybe you're also wondering, how did DreamWorks manage to make a multi-billion-dollar children's franchise about an ogre and a donkey out of this guy?
No one can stop me.
Well, let's go back to 2001. With Pixar's Toy Story coming out some years prior, showing the potential for 3D computer animated films as having serious prospect, DreamWorks was on the hunt for their own golden ticket. But first, they had to create an interesting concept. They wanted to flip the fairy tale genre upside down. And well, they pulled it off. When looking at the first Shrek film, a lot of things are going to stick out to you outside of just its concept. The character design, the soundtrack, spoofing the very genre it ends up becoming a part of. But on this channel, what I love to discuss is character. What I wanted to talk about is what I believe is the heart of why we really love this film, the characters. More specifically, the dynamic between Donkey and Shrek. Now, of course, no one wants to be that guy that overanalyzes a kid's film, right? I'm gonna be that guy. In a film that has a few action set pieces, you may have not fully realised that the majority of this film's runtime is actually spent with these characters not really doing much at all besides walking and talking to each other. And given this, without real character dynamics and conversation, the film would have been dead on arrival. But what made these interactions so enjoyable, and what scene was it that tipped this film over to something we all still enjoy now? This is In Between the Lines. Like and subscribe if you enjoy. Let's hop right in. When Shrek is first introduced in this film, it is grotesque, it is filthy and yucky, but most importantly, it is incredibly unapologetic. Shrek laughs and smiles when he farts in his swamp bath. He laughs when he terrifies and scares off the people coming to kill him merely for existing, regardless of Shrek not really being, you know, Prince Charming. Within that grime is charm. His enjoyment is not vested in society's expectations. He is an outcast. Being an outcast has its perks. You get your own space, you don't have much in the realm of responsibilities, nothing to look after except yourself. And one thing to note from Shrek's introduction here is Shrek shows actually no sign of feeling bad about this at all. It's as if he is genuinely content with where he is and how people view him. It's very obvious that although to most this swamp is grimy and nasty, I would probably go as far as to call it a kind of sanctuary for him, and the place he finds a great deal of comfort. You even see later on when he's eating dinner, although the place is made up of things that aren't exactly tasteful, it is all actually really well kept and put together, even setting up his dinner table with candles and eating just like a normal person would in their home. However, here lies our first hint that everything isn't as it seems.
Now, ogres? Wow, they're much worse. They'll make a suit from your freshly peeled skin.
Regardless of what Shrek says when scaring off these villagers, it's very clear Shrek has zero interest in doing any of the things he said. He's just saying these things to get them to leave him alone. And then he meets
Donkey!
Donkey, in a lot of respects, is the complete opposite of Shrek. Donkey is very anxious, can't stand his own company or silence, and is essentially just one big walking ass of energy. But the two most important things to note here is Donkey is incredibly dependent, the polar opposite of Shrek, who is independent. When we first see Donkey, he is being sold off by his previous owner, and after managing to escape, Donkey immediately latches onto the person that saved him. Wait, Shrek saved him? This here is the next hint that Shrek isn't as bad as he pretends he is. He didn't have to help him here. In fact, later on in this scene, this happens.
That was really scary.
When Donkey won't leave him alone, he resorts to his typical scare tactics. But here is where you see it, as clear as day, that it is entirely a facade.
I'm an ogre. Doesn't that bother you?
Nope.
Really?
Really.
Oh.
What it seems here by Shrek's reaction is this might be the first time someone has ever gotten past this first obstacle in getting to know Shrek. In fact, it may be the first time anyone's even asked what his name is to begin with. So at this point, you then ask yourself, what is the facade for? What is Shrek hiding? Earlier I said that there was two important things to note here. The first was Donkey is dependent, but second, Donkey is incredibly open-minded. Although yes, maybe you could argue Donkey is just pretending to not be scared so he had someone after being forced to run from his previous owner. You can tell by the way he gets all up in Shrek's personal space here that he's genuinely not scared of Shrek at all. Donkey actually views Shrek as more than just some ugly, scary ogre. In a roundabout way, what's being established here is within their differences are things that make their relationship possible. It is immediately obvious that Donkey needs Shrek due to his physicality and means of protecting himself and those around him, but what will transpire throughout this movie is the explanation as to why Shrek also needs Donkey, reasons I don't think he really understands yet. Now, over the course of traveling to Lord Farquaad and then traveling to the tower, there's only a couple of small scenes I think are worth bringing up in terms of development.
For your information, there's a lot more to ogres than people think. Layers! Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers? You get it. We both have layers.
This may be a small moment and to some just humorous, but this is Shrek for the first time himself intentionally dropping a hint of something deeper in regards to himself, and probably for the first time subtly opening up to Donkey, maybe ever opening up to anyone at all. Obviously quite trepidly, with a broad allusion to depth in himself he is yet to show or explain. What I think the writers did a great job of in this movie is we can all watch this and understand Shrek is deeply insecure about the depth and feelings he refers to just by his quite severe overreactions. I mean, we all know Donkey can be quite irritating, but we can see and understand the difference that something more is going on when Donkey doesn't understand what he's trying to say here. Now, obviously at this point, Shrek rescues Fiona, they leave, and Shrek and Donkey have a good belly laugh at Fiona's customs and expectations of what she thought Shrek was going to be. I do like this moment as I think it just shows how far these two have come from being at each other's throats to laughing hysterically with each other, which sets up the pivotal part and turning point of this movie, and the part where these hints begin to make sense.
Hey, can you tell my future from these stars?
Well, the stars don't tell the future, Donkey. They tell stories.
It starts by watching Shrek actually having quite a heartfelt conversation, opening up about how ogres view and interpret the stars, and then he says it again.
You know, Donkey, sometimes things are more than they appear.
At this point, the writers are screaming at you in the most subtle way possible, like with the onion scene, that Shrek wants Donkey to understand and see how much more he is than what he shows without him actually having to show it himself. So Donkey asks a real pointed question.
What we gonna do when we get out swamp anyway?
Our swamp? Donkey, there's no we. There's no our.
Here's the thing, Shrek hasn't gotten to the crossroads yet. Although Shrek has alluded to wanting people to see something deeper within him, Shrek hasn't been pushed to really commit to it yet. He is under the impression everything will go back to what they were, that he can just go back to his comfort of solitude when this is all over, but he can't. Things have changed. Shrek has seen things he can't really pretend don't exist. People like Donkey exist. Someone who might be annoying, but is also someone who will actually like him for who he is. Shrek still wants to run away, and this is where I think Donkey really shows he's more than a gag character.
You know what I think? I think this whole wall thing is just a way to keep somebody out.
Donkey calls him out.
Are you hiding something?
Never mind, Donkey.
But he doesn't stop there.
Oh, this is another one of those onion things, isn't it?
Donkey doesn't let up. In fact, he ramps it up.
Well, why are you blocking?
I'm not blocking.
Oh, yes, you are.
He keeps pushing and pushing until
Just tell me that, Shrek. Who?
Everyone, okay?
Shrek's defenses break under the pressure. Shrek finally gives out what he's been hiding from everyone.
They judge me before they even know me. That's why I'm better off alone.
Now, because of the hints and things that have been continuously subcommunicated, this reveal feels so much more authentic and not something they drop out of nowhere for the sake of trying to lazily make the characters more interesting. I think fundamentally, although Shrek seemed content in the beginning, Shrek didn't really know what he was missing out on. He's never viewed relationships with others as possible for an ogre like him, so why would he ever sought after them? So to him, his solitude, his swamp, no matter how grim to some, is his home, the place he finds comfort away from the people that hate him purely for just being an ogre. And holy, when I rewatched this scene, I didn't remember getting this upset as a kid, but as an adult, man, this hit me really hard. Can I just remind everyone, the voice actor here is this guy.
Get in my belly!
And my god, does he do a fantastic job here. Something this dynamic actually reminded me of, perhaps in a more serious context, is this scene from Good Will Hunting.
Do you have a soulmate?
Do I have to define that?
Somebody who challenges you.
Chucky.
No, Chucky's family. He'd lie down in fucking traffic for you. I'm talking about someone who opens up things for you, touches your soul.
The reason I think Donkey is an underrated character is because outside of the constant gags, Donkey actually has really strong influence on the trajectory of Shrek and the story in this movie compared to all the other iterations that followed. Although Donkey is quite an anxious character that can latch on to people, Donkey still does not shy away from both being himself and calling things out, and is probably one of the very few people in this fairy tale universe that can actually challenge Shrek in a way that will get him to open up. Thanks to Donkey forcing this out of Shrek, Fiona overhears, and after actually being more open to Shrek and getting to know him and letting him know her, a relationship begins to blossom between them as well. This wouldn't have happened without Donkey. Now, if this scene is the cake of the movie, the next part is the cherry on top.
I saw this flower and thought of you because it's pretty and, well, I don't really like it, but I thought you might like it because you're pretty.
Later on, Shrek is trying to work up the courage to tell Fiona he likes her. Now, this is a huge deal for someone like Shrek. After receiving so much hate and rejection in his life, you can imagine how terrified he was. Then this happens.
Who could ever love a beast so hideous and ugly? Princess and ugly don't go together. That's why I can't stay here with Shrek.
Shrek mishears Fiona and Donkey's conversation, and Shrek is practically almost in an instant painfully reset back to the Shrek we saw at the beginning.
I talked to her last night.
Yeah, I know you talked to her last night. You're great pals, aren't you? I live alone. My swamp. Me. Nobody else. Understand? Nobody!
I mean, my god, watching this now as an adult, Shrek actually sounds like he's on the verge of a breakdown here. Like, this is clearly incredibly traumatic for him and really adds to the weight of the transformation Shrek had gone through up to this point, just for it to be snatched away. But once again, who reins him back in?
Donkey? What are you doing?
As much of a gag character he is, Donkey calls him out for
So you
everything.
just shut up and pay attention. You are mean to me. You insult me and you don't appreciate anything that I do.
Shrek didn't even confront him about what he was angry about. Once again, Shrek instantly retreats back to running away and isolating himself. But now, Donkey isn't letting this behavior slide.
She wasn't talking about you. She was talking about somebody else.
She wasn't talking about me?
Now Shrek realizes he messed up. He now knows he overreacted and should have asked Donkey what was discussed first, maturely. This is the healthy way to deal with this grievance. But now what? Shrek knows Fiona actually likes him, but he's just completely messed it up. How can he possibly rectify this? Well, Donkey, once again, has Shrek's back with a solution.
I never fear, for where there's a will, there's a way, and I have a way.
Without Donkey, Shrek doesn't find Lord Farquaad, Shrek doesn't rescue Fiona, Shrek doesn't open up with Fiona, Shrek isn't able to get back to Fiona to rectify his mistake. So many ways, Donkey makes Shrek a better person. I think people have this idea of side characters and other characters where they need to have their own character arc, and if they don't, then they're two-dimensional and boring. And I just don't buy this at all. I think if a character is merely supplementary to another one, but it's explored well, and that character has actual important impact on the story and that character, I think it's actually still very well written. The reality is, without Donkey, Shrek doesn't get his happy ever after. Great movie though, bye!
What a load of